started here. So, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. The topic of today's session is the Agile Mindset presented by CPS HR Master Instructor Michael Grabo. So before we delve into this very enriching conversation, just a bit of housekeeping as usual. The session is being recorded so you can relive these valuable insights later on today. The recording links will be provided in the chat at the end of the webinar, so please stay tuned for that. For optimal sound quality, we kindly request that all attendees keep their microphones muted throughout the session. There will be times in the chat where you may ask questions and we will answer during the session if time allows. And now, without further delay, I present to you Michael Grabo. Take it away.
Thank you, Marissa. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It is amazing to see we've got some folks here from Virginia Tech, from Louisiana, from Idaho, all over the place. It is so good to have everybody here. Welcome aboard, y'all. Welcome aboard. Today is really a conversation, or actually it's going to be more of a monologue, but I'm going to have you dialoguing with me through the chat, if you would, please. And it's really about the introduction level of what is an agile mindset. Okay, so what I've got here, and I'm going to pop it in here right now, is the PowerPoint in a note taker so that you can be able to kind of pull it down and take a look at it. You'll have all the slides. I have no desire to try to cram you full of a lot of information. I want to be able to have a dialogue with you if we could. I'm not sure if we can. Good morning from California. Thank you, Christine. It's great to have you here. So wanted to share with you, there's my contact information on the screen for you, and let's get into this webinar. Thank you very much, Marissa, for getting us into the administration, the housekeeping, and also this webinar format. This is for us to be able to have a little bit of kind of opening it up. I hope you will plan to be here. Try not to be doing any of that multitasking. I know that's almost sacred that I'm asking you not to go there, but I want you to be here. Okay, because I think over the last 3 years, in what I call the new better, not so much the new normal, I'm always looking for the new better, because as we get into this space of agile mindset, we got to be okay with learning, developing, and moving things forward. So in this new better over the last 3 years, there's some really cool things that have been put into place for how we get our stuff done. One of the things I think you'll agree with me is you can't always plan everything out. So please keep looking for the new better, because every moment is the new better. I will tell you, my mentor, Jack Canfield, shared that with me at the beginning of this pandemic. It was in April of 2020 when I sat down with him, and he said, Michael, do not look for the new normal. Everybody was talking about the new normal. So keep looking for that new better. Shauna, hopefully that will help you out. Thank you very much for sharing it. So here's my intention for today. For this short hour, I want to host a high-level conversation on what it takes to establish and develop an agile mindset. Quick question to each and every one of you. We got about 100 people online here. Is that worthy of 1 hour of your investment? To be able to kind of talk about what does this look like? I love the emojis. Thank you for sending that out there. Thank you for giving me some yeses. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So here's my roadmap. We're going to look at what is an agile mindset. We're also going to look at something that started back in February of 2001. 2001, the thing called the Agile Manifesto, okay? And then I want to hit you with some frequently asked questions so that you can kind of work on that and move it forward, okay? So Michael Grabo here in Sacramento, California. It's great to have everybody here. Let's get started. So, what is an agile mindset? In fact, I want to ask those of you on here, please type in the chat, what is a mindset? What is a mindset from your perspective? When you hear someone say, because that's a phrase a lot of people are throwing around now. Do you have a growth mindset? Do you got a fixed mindset? What kind of mindset do you have? It's a habit of thinking. I love that. That's beautiful. Perspective. It's a view, a point of view. Right. There we go. Look at all these great ideas here. Folks, by the way, I hope you know you can actually download the chat while you're here. And so you can get all of our ideas in here. So it's a process. It's a common point of view. It's a lens. I love that one. It's a lens of how we're looking at things, right? So let's take a sneak peek at what I have here. It is a mindset, is a set of beliefs. It is how we shape our world. We do, by the way, in fact, in the space of lacking information, we make stuff up. Would you agree we make stuff up? We make stuff up in so many different ways. We make it up based upon what we thought was being said, what was happening, what was transpiring. So, what is your mental attitude? What is your inclination? What is your state of mind? So, I like to ask you, where are you at right now? Are you here in 2023? Or are you stuck in 1984? I love that our governor here in California, when he first stepped into office, went over to the technology area and said, hey, folks, California's technology is on the cutting edge. And then he paused for a moment of 1973. So sometimes we all get stuck in different spaces. I love it. Cordell, thank you. Cordell says, hey, I'm here in 2023. How about y'all? Are you in 2023 or are you stuck in the past? Are you hoping that the past will return? I hope you're letting go of the past, because in this space of mindset, if you're stuck in, yes, no, thank you. Yeah, if you're stuck in that past, we'll never go back to it, folks. The past is gone. What we have right here is this now. And if you're still, one of the statements I used to hear a lot from a lot of different aircraft maintenance supervisors, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Folks, we got to get past that mentality. That's a fixed mentality. We've got to get out of that, and we've got to get into the space of what are we doing in the future. I love it, Edward. Edward's already planning for 2024. But once again, Edward, make sure you're here. Make sure you're here to be able to build on that. Love that. Love that, what you guys got going on there. So the mindset, Dr. Covey used to call that our paradigm. What we see determines what we do. What we do determines what we get. So mentally, what do you see? Are you, like I said, are you looking at it as though we want to hold on to the past? You can't hold on to the past. We got to be in the space of change. We got to keep on looking at that. Meredith, you know what? It's funny because I listen to a lot of 70s rock. So Meredith is talking about how she's listening to the 90s rock. But when you look at that, you've got to be able to think about, how do we change this up? Are you thinking about the music of today? In fact, one of our items here is we want to have an agile mindset. We want to move quickly. We want to move easily. We want to move smart. We want to be clever. We want to be in that space of agile, flexible, mendable, bendable. It doesn't mean we're giving up our standards. It means we're learning. We're developing. The dude abides. I love it. You're right. Luther Vandross is always available. Cordell, man, I love it. You're throwing it down. So bottom line is, when we're looking at our agile space, are you mendable, bendable? Are you looking at the possibility? Can you move when people shift. There's been so many different shifts, and hopefully you're okay with that. I love that too. I want to throw down a laugh on that one too. There you go. Luther Vandross, love him. But like you said, we got to be looking, got to be mendable, bendable. How do you handle change, y'all? I got moves like Humpty Dumpty. I love it. I love it. You got this going on, y'all. Seriously, you can't be Humpty Dumpty. Stuff breaks. Got to figure out how to make an omelet. All right. If you get a crack, let's make an omelet. Let's figure this out. How do we move easily in the change? Because some people are still stuck in the horse and buggy days. And think about it, if you were the buggy whip maker and you saw the horseless carriage blow through your town, do you adapt, or do you keep on making buggy whips that nobody's using anymore? Right? People are afraid of change. They're not afraid of change. They're afraid of failure. Right? I love that. Now, keep in mind, I want you to get comfortable with the 4-letter F word. Sorry, Marissa, I'm going to say it. The 4-letter F word is, I want you to fail often to succeed sooner. Because the fear of failure has held us back so bad. The fear of failure keeps us stuck in the past. So what we want to be able to do is to be able to take on an agile mindset. We have to fail faster. Exactly, Kathy. Fail faster. Attempt, learn, and develop. Now, I like using Scrum when I'm doing all kinds of different projects that are adaptable. And I like to use something that I call para. I want to plan, I want to act, I want to review, and I want to adapt. Para, like in the paragraph, the abbreviation of a paragraph, PARA, is how I remember my iterative process. I plan, I act, I review. In that review, I'm learning, and then I adapt. So I'm failing and I'm fixing. I'm failing and I'm adapting. I'm getting uncomfortable with stuff, but I'm developing. And here's the thing, folks. If we hadn't been able to move quickly on Friday the 13th, 2020, you would never have ever heard of CPSHR. CPSHR immediately adapted to the online Zoom, Teams. We did like 6 different platforms. But here's the thing, folks, we're here. We're still here. We're still connecting. We're still doing. What's the new better? So from your perspective, from where we were Friday the 13th, 2020 to today, what's the new better? We're not having to travel all the time. We're able to connect with family through this virtual space. You know, some of the things that I usually threw down a lot of food in the room, didn't need to buy a bunch of food. What's the new better? Yeah, people going out to movies. I love it, right? Sometimes we're having movies at our house too. What's been your new better based on the last 3 years? Would you throw something in the chat box for me? Let me know. Reaching more people, right? Workplace technology. I've been training people all around the world because of the technology. Exactly. Work-life balance. I think the pandemic actually turned our hearts to home, you know, connected back there, working from home. Exactly. Didn't need to. For those of you online here that are introverts, it was golden for you. For us extroverts, we're still working through it. There you go. No commuting. more colleagues with creative solutions, team building, exercising, right? We've been able to really do some good stuff with our bodies. We've been able to connect with our families. We've been able to sit back and go, how can I? We learned how to say no. I hope you did. One of the things that Dr. Covey taught a long time ago was a well-placed no opens us up for a greater yes. So let's look at it. Let's develop it. Let's not use that no of what we can't do. Let's create those greater yeses of what we can do, right? Don't have to take those sick days, right? We can actually, I've even taught with COVID from the corner of my office here in Sacramento, California. So again, a lot of great new things that have been happening. Now, there's been some tough things that have happened too. Some folks have lost some family members. But I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. So Dr. Dweck from Stanford kind of came up with these ideas. This is a fixed mindset. And then over the other side is going to be the growth mindset. I'm good at it, or I'm not. That's just the way it is, right? It's just who I am. Can't make me do nothing else, right? If I'm going to work hard, I got to have that ability. If I don't have that ability, I'm not doing it, right? Don't try. Yeah, I might fail. Don't want to fail, so I won't do it. Won't do it. Can't make me. Job position was totally out of my league. I can't. If you see those kind of things, you're probably stuck in the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is we can keep on learning. We can keep on doing. We can constantly grow. We can constantly evolve. We can do more by being challenged to think outside of our box. How can we, not how can't we? I can only fail if I stop. That's right. Very strong Japanese concept is if you fall down 7, get up 8. Now I heard that from Denzel Washington, but I mean, it's the whole idea. Keep on getting up. Don't stay stuck. Get up, you bum, right? So job positions, we can do anything we want as long as we keep challenging ourselves. So I got a little video clip and I want to be able to do it this way. I want to stop sharing here because I'm going to share it through another way. But I also want to give you this video clip so that you can use it for your teams as well. So copying this, dropping over here to the chat. This way you have it. In case it doesn't work out when I try to share it here soon, I want you to be able to have that. So let's pop this up and see how this looks. All right, here we go. Let me know. Oh, hold on a moment. Let me stop again. Let me bring it up in the share. Sorry about this, folks. Do not mind the guy behind the curtain for a moment here. I needed to optimize for the video clip. There we go. So let me know if you guys can see this all right. I'm going to bring it up to full screen for us. And I want you to take some notes here. This is talking about location, location, location. Are you living above the line or below the line? I love this nice little positive quote.
Location, location, location. Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Animation by Graham Franks. www.grahamfranks.com. One question that conscious leaders ask themselves over and over is, where am I? To support leaders in locating themselves as they ask the question, where am I? We offer this tool, a line, a simple black line. At any moment, all leaders and all people are either above the line or below the line. Our location describes how we're being with what is occurring in our life right now. If we're above the line, we are open, curious, and committed to learning. If we are below the line, we are closed, defensive, and committed to being right. Stop right now and simply ask yourself, where am I? In this now moment, am I above the line or below the line? Typically, when people are below the line, they believe certain things about the world. For example, they believe there is not enough. It could be that there's not enough money, or time, or space, or energy, or love. People below the line also believe that their story about the situation is right. People below the line also believe that there is a threat out there. Something or someone is threatening their desire for approval, control, or security. And people below the line see the situation as serious. The deeper below the line they are, the more serious things look. People below the line tend to behave certain ways as well. They tend to cling to an opinion, find fault and blame, gossip, explain, rationalize and justify, get overwhelmed, and avoid conflict or pursue conflict for the sake of winning. When people are above the line, they believe that learning and growing are more important than being right. They believe that all people and circumstances are their allies, here for their growth. They believe that from a distance, almost everything is funny. People above the line live in curiosity, listen deeply, speak unarguably, question all their beliefs, and live a life of play. Now, knowing what you know about being above or below the line, where are you? One thing to know as you consider this question: we are hardwired to go below the line. Literally, our brain is programmed to perceive threat, and when it does, a chemical cocktail courses through our veins, and we go below the line. This reaction was designed to help us survive in the presence of a real threat to our physical survival. An issue for modern-day leaders is that often our brains can't tell the difference between a threat to our physical survival and a threat to our ego or identity. We react and get defensive when we experience a threat to our ego. So in many ways, being below the line is natural and normal. But when we are below the line, we're not in a state, literally brain state, of high creativity, collaboration, innovation, and relational connection. We're simply trying to survive. Leaders today can't thrive if they're in survival mode. So the first activity of conscious leadership is location, location, location. In this now moment, where am I? Telling ourselves and others the truth about our current location begins the great conversation.
Excellent. What I'd like you to do, folks, is jump on the chat box and give me some ideas. What did you take from that short 3.5-minute video clip? What's your takeaways? I want to see what you got. Then we'll go back to our PowerPoint. All right. Learning and great. Determining the book, the gap and gain. All right. Gap and gain. Love the message. Excellent. Mindset. There you go. Got a lot of thumbs up. Right mindset is the devil where's Prada. Be confident, right? Well, okay, I got it. But sometimes we got to be real with where we're at, right? When aware, let's see what we got here. When aware that below the line, step back, be honest that what's going on, and engage when closer to the line or back above the line. That's it. I love that, Katie. All right, be open. It's not about being right or wrong. Don't limbo. Jump high. I love that, Joshua. Great job, man. Being inquisitive and open-minded is better than winning the argument. Be open, be flexible. Must be open. All right. Keep measuring where you are. In other words, get aware of where you're at. Like that, Joellen, excuse me. Self-awareness, love it. Cordell, communicate more, right? One more conversation. One must be able to answer, will this matter in 5 to 15 minutes or tomorrow or the next day? I love that, Edward. Good job. Being mindful, self-reflective. Where am I? Being able to see where that's at so I can be in the growth space. Growth and collaboration requires self-reflection and acceptance. Absolutely, folks. Now, here's the thing. Just having a growth mindset doesn't mean I have that I have an agile mindset. Okay. So let me go ahead and close that out here real quick. so that we won't hear any videos coming up. I do want to share a couple things about why this whole conversation of Agile came into place. Okay, so before we go into back to the slide, I want to tell you a little story that back in 2001, February of 2001, 17 folks all went, and these were all software developers, went to a ski lodge. And at that time frame, there was one way to be able to do projects. And we thought we needed to, and it's still appropriate, depending upon the context of your project, that we needed to plan, we needed to define, we needed to plan, and then we started to execute. Well, the problem is, as you know, most of you probably are in some type of technology. The moment you start coding, you're already going obsolete. So you can't just rely on doing all the planning at one time, or all, making sure that it's really, really clear. We want to get as clear as we possibly can, but we needed something different than just the waterfall, that linear process of defining, planning, executing, closing out. It's beautiful when you can do it that way. And in the construction side, you got a whole bunch of those predictive projects that can work. However, when you're dealing with software, or when you're dealing with pandemics, or when you're dealing with people, we've got to be able to have something different. And that's what these 17 folks said, what can we do? And so they created what is known as the Agile Manifesto. Okay. And in the Agile Manifesto, these software developers identified, and this is what the Agile Manifesto looks like. It's only a couple pages. And that way you can be able to kind of jump in there, identifying some core tenets and being able to help us shape our Agile mindset. With that, we also have, it's not just a growth mindset. It's more than a growth mindset. In fact, what we want to look at here is that the only sustainable competitive advantage to an organization is the ability to learn faster than the competition. So the Agile Manifesto, and I've given you your link here if you want it to be able to do that. They identified these values. We want to be able to have individual interactions over the process and the tools. Sometimes as project managers, we get into the processes and the tools and we forget about the people aspect. We need to come back and being focused on the people. We need to be able to have our work, not just software, but our work over the comprehensive documentation. I understand having the documentation, especially for those of us in some type of public space, that we believe documentation is the only proof that we've done. That's why we call them artifacts now. But the bottom line is make sure you're only documenting what you absolutely have to, so that we can have the space to be able to build what we need to build. Customer collaboration over contracted negotiation. What does the customer really want? Are we taking the time to really find that out? Responding to change over following the plan. Another thing for those of us in the project management world, we like our plans. We like our plans, but we got to be able to move beyond our plans and into the overall making the change possible. All right. Now, here's the 12 principles. I'm not going to read them to you because you can read them a little bit later when we don't have such a limited amount of time. But I want you to have the principles. All right. There's 12 of them there. Look at that. Okay. Now, to make it simple, I've tried to summarize what those 12 really do. What's different here? We want to research. We want to interview. We want to go talk to people. We want to build some user stories. We want to get beyond the fear of failure. You want to learn and grow from our mistakes. Have our mistakes open. In fact, leaders, if you're a leader in this room, I want you to share your mistakes to your team. I want you to be open. I want you to be in that space of creating openness with your team to say, you know what, mistakes happen, but we learn from them. What kind of organization do you have going on? What kind of communication, folks? We have to build some good communication plans. We got to be able to have good communication. We want to be able to have safe space for people to be able to share. But also, do you demonstrate, especially for your team, that you care about them as individuals, not cogs in your processes? Do you have clear goals, measurements? Are you adapting? Are you focusing on the customer's needs? Are you collaborating? Those 8 pieces, if you put those together, it's going to help you move forward in an agile methodology, mindset, because there is no agile methodology. It's about our mindset. We have to have the foundation of the mindset moving forward. So do you think this way, or do you think the other way? So what I want to point out here is 3 laws that the mindset, and this comes from Steve Deming, and he says there's a law of the customer. We need to become obsessed with delivering value to the customer. So in other words, we got to know our customers well enough to get their user stories from them so that we can deliver the value that they have. Once again, an agile mindset is not, oh, it's all about me. No, it's about what we're doing for the customer. The agile mindset is about making sure that we're doing it in small teams. Yes, we want it to grow throughout the organization, but we have to be able to do this in ways that we can communicate effectively, share it back, make sure folks are rolling with it. And also the law of the network. So I really like what Steve shared about the 3 laws of the agile mindset, which is the law of the customer, the law of small team, and the law of networking. Here's the thing, folks, and we're talking about networking by building connections with each other. Connect with people. Be willing to bring some coffee in. Be willing to sit back and share for a moment. Grab some dough along the way into work, and so that you can connect with your teammates, so that you can actually look at it and move it forward if you're still having those different types of opportunities. So what is an agile mindset? Hopefully you've got this really clear. It is a set of attitudes supporting an agile work environment. It includes respect, it includes collaboration, it includes improvement, learning cycles, pride of ownership. You could read this, so I'm just going to share that with you. The ability to adapt to change. It's like driving down a freeway in Thule fog. You can't quite see where we're going, but we're moving things forward, and it might be slow. We might have to slow things down a little bit. Or as some folks is, we're actually planning out and building the aircraft while we're flying it. And that's kind of look at how can we do that? The mindset necessary to cultivate high-performing teams who in turn deliver amazing values for their customers, okay? So how to grow an agile mindset. First off, know your natural approach. Do you lean towards the fix? Do you lean towards growth? What can you do to grow your mindset? I'm going to suggest some books. Grab some books, go read, keep on learning, keep on developing, jump on more things than just a 1-hour webinar. Hopefully we'll give you a little bit to wet your whistle, but keep on coming back for more learning, more development, more growth. All right. Where do you struggle? Do you struggle with the knee-jerk changes? Do you feel some emotional development and emotional growth or emotional intensity? Do you what happens to you when things change? Do you get angry? Work on that. Work on that. That's you, yes, being transparent. So what I like to share is breathe, pause, get curious. As I like to say, get into that space of curious exploration. That helps me. I hope it will help you. Define where you're at. Are you above the line or are you below the line? Are you in play or are you in fear? Pay attention to your words and replace that negativity. Get real present to what you tell yourself, because one of the things that we heard in that real quick video was we're naturally, based on evolution, we're naturally more towards looking for the threat. I want you to stop looking so much for the threat, but also what's the breakthrough. And if you're telling yourself, oh man, I can't believe it, I'm so stupid, work on that, because your brain hears that even when it doesn't get verbalized. That's probably an area we all can work on. What's happening with your inner voice? What are you saying to yourself? Are you showing up with an agile mindset that you're taking care of who you are? Yeah, you failed, but you've learned. Yeah, you grow. What is going on inside there? So here's a couple things I'd like you to take a look at as we get close to the, believe it or not, the end of our hours are approaching very fast. I hope it's been fast for you. So what is your mindset? Do you have a fixed or growth or agile mindset? So let's read these statements and for you to think about, do you agree with this or do you disagree with this? Okay. But first off, you were born with certain amounts of intelligence, and it isn't something that can be changed. Do you agree with that or do you disagree? Throw something in the chat with a T or an F. Yeah, I love it. I love it. You guys are on it. I'm all over this one. You're right. That's fixed. Exactly. Number 2, no matter who you are, there isn't much you can do to improve your basic abilities or personality. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts? False, false, BS. I love it. You guys are throwing it down. I love this. All right. People are capable of changing who they are. Ooh, agile. Yes, indeed. Can't fool you all. Going over to number, wait a minute. Oh my goodness. I just wanted to tease you with 3 then. I thought I had another one on there. Maybe I deleted it for us. Let's see where we're at. Oh yeah, I must have moved it forward. All right. So those are just some things to be able to tease you with. Take a look at this to become an agile leader. First off, get fully present. Work on your ability to clear your mind. I don't know if you have what I have. You might have a still small voice inside your head. I have committees that run committees. I have committees that run committees. So how do you quiet your committees? How do you quiet what's going on in your head? What I do is I do a mental parking lot. I affectionately call that barfing on a page. So I grab myself a piece of paper or here, and I just capture all the things that are in my head because I want to be fully present for you. So get present first and foremost for you and for your team. Clear out all that stuff in your head. Have a place to capture all that stuff. Okay. Number 2, embrace abundance, not scarcity. That will get you above the line. Number 3, host open conversations. And here's the thing, folks. I want my team members all around me to be able to call me out and to be able to share what they thought, what they saw. And I want to be able to know that because, folks, what's going to set you up for more success is your ability to receive feedback. What determines how much feedback you get is how you receive the last feedback someone gave you. And if you barfed on them, note to self, I'm not giving it to you. I'm not going to share that because if you beat me up last time, and it's just my opinion, it's not truth. It's just my opinion. So can you create open conversations with your teammates? Okay. to the point where we're free to learn from each other. Number 4, emotionally mature. You cannot be emotionally immature and be an agile leader. You have to be willing to know what you're feeling in the moment and being able to work through that. Because we got to be able to work together interdependently. We can't be dependent, codependent, or independent when we're growing our team. We need to be interdependent with our team, and it requires us to be emotionally mature, not emotionally immature. Don't get triggered by things people say or do. Ask yourself, one of my favorite questions or favorite statement is, that's interesting, because that keeps my brain open. Get interested to hear where everybody's at. Explore with others. Work on your emotional maturity. That's all an inside game for you as well as it is for me. Okay. Number 5, share your vision, share the purpose, make a meaning. Be a guide, be a coach, be a human, right? Process, praise, and focus on discovery. Be in that space. So one of the books that I want to really highlight, if you haven't read it yet, is called Multipliers from Liz Wiseman. Multipliers. And Kevin, you bring up vulnerability. I love Brene Brown. And anything Brene Brown talks about, she says, for us to be courageous, we need to be vulnerable. You cannot have vulnerability without, you cannot be courageous without being vulnerable. So be open, create that space. I love it, Kevin. There you go. So Brene Brown and Dare to Lead, I'd highly recommend. Also recommend Liz Wiseman in Multipliers. Multipliers, they multiply the intelligence of the team versus diminish. And I've been using that with coaching practice for probably the last year or so. And it becomes very, very powerful. Thank you so much for throwing some ideas in there, Kevin. Appreciate it. Yep. Dare to Lead. There he goes. Also, I would also tell you another one that Brene did recently that helped me on my emotional maturity area was the idea of the atlas, like a map, atlas of the heart. She actually explores 80 emotions, 80 plus emotions. Just very, very powerful. Folks, to be a leader, you got to be a learner. To be an agile leader, you need to be willing to feel the room, see the room, get to know your folks, create safe spaces for people to be able to tell you straight up where they're at. And when someone gives you feedback, tell them thank you. And chew on it. Think about it. Monitor it. Okay. So real quick, that's our summary. We've gone through what is an agile mindset, what is the Agile Manifesto, gave you some Q&A, some frequently asked questions. I want to ask you, what are 2 to 3 things that you got from this quick little conversation? What's going to be different because you invested 45 minutes of your life here? And I'm open to any questions you may have. If you want to ask some questions, I'm here for you, but I want to give you the gift of time as well. So hopefully, what'd you get from this short briefing, conversation, dialogue, monologue, I guess is really what it is more than anything else. Any questions, folks?
Michael, before we get into the questions, I'd just like to say thank you for being with us here today and for your wonderful presentation. And I just wanted to remind everyone that this is being recorded, and I'm going to post the link to the recording, that will be available later this afternoon in the chat. I'm also going to, never mind. I'm going to post the link in the chat right now. And then if anyone has any questions, please feel free to come off of mute and ask that yourself, or you can ask it in the chat. But again, thank you, Michael, for being with us here today and for a wonderful presentation.
Very cool. Thank you very much. And Devin, I wanted to let you know that there was I'm giving you the PowerPoint slides in the chat for you if you want to be able to have that. Let's see here. I have a question. How would you approach a leader if you feel like they push you away? I would describe to them what you're feeling, and without getting triggered by what they're doing, and just say, hey, can you help me understand? I love that preface of a question. Can you help me understand why you did X, or what it was that made you feel as though they were pushing you away? So Sona, I would suggest doing that, because in the space of conversation, anything is possible. If you choose to just have the conversation in your head, folks, I got to tell you, our brains have the capability of making it, I'm going to use an S word, be careful, stuff up. So if it just has that way of being able to make things up. So you want to be able to get clear with it, maybe even write some thoughts down. What is it? What's been happening? How would you like to see it change in different, and make a request? Everything begins with a request, folks. Everything begins with a request. But then we've got to be in that space. Both parties need to be willing to have an open conversation. If the other person isn't, you can't force it. You can't force it. Thank you so much for those great comments that you're making on here. I'm here if you have any more questions, folks. Otherwise, you have the gift of time. Thank you, Sona. Appreciate that. Hopefully that helps. Thank you. Be safe, y'all. Go make the world a better place, please.
All right, if there are no more questions, I'll go ahead and end the session early. Thank you guys for joining us today for today's webinar. And one more time, thank you, Michael, for a fantastic presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for the time. Appreciate y'all.
Sure. Everyone have a great day and a great rest of your week.
Very cool. Marissa, would you like me to email the PowerPoint, or did you pull it down from the chat?
I pulled it from the chat, so we are good to go.
Beautiful. Have an amazing Wednesday. Hump day. Whoop, whoop. All right.